Hello and welcome to Gutted. I am Aleece.
And I'm Tony, and we're here to spill our guts about horror films. If you're new to the podcast, you can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Gutted Horror Podcast.
Yeah. Today we have another fun list episode.
Oh, yeah.
We are very excited for this one. We are going to count down our top WTF death scenes.
WTF death scenes in horror
movies. So when we see a death in a horror movie that just kind of makes us chuckle or think, what just happened? We put it in a list, and when we have enough to make it a top 10 for us, then we film
yes.
an episode.
A WTF death in a horror film is nothing new. There are tons of them. There are many, a plethora of just, for whatever reason, bad writing or
bad editing
or just low budget.
Something wasn't perfect, and it's to our benefit of viewing.
And that's the beauty of horror movies, is that it still makes the movie. Maybe
it makes it better.
I think it definitely makes it better. Yeah.
And so these are just ours. And you all probably have your own favorite WTF.
Yes. So once you hear our top 10, we would love to hear your top 10.
Yeah. And put it in the chat or the list, or email us at guttedhorrorpodcast@gmail.com.
That's right.
Okay. Oh, also, because these are deaths, there will definitely be spoilers. So again, we will say the title of the movie first and then say the character in case you want to skip forward. If you're like, oh, I haven't seen that one. I don't want to know who dies in a really horribly funny way.
I think in this case with the WTF deaths, it is often not a main character.
Yeah.
It's usually sort of a throwaway character or a side character. So what is a WTF death for you?
A WTF death. Well, what's the acronym mean? What the fudge?
What the fudge death? What does that mean to you?
To me, that means something to where I perhaps knew that character was going to die, but I did not know how. I did not know how shocking, how awkward, or how strange it would have been. Something that makes me chuckle afterwards because it was so shocking.
So would you call it ridiculous?
Ridiculous. Could be ridiculously shocking.
Maybe out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Or maybe just...
Or like, what just happened? Is that person dead now? Why? Makes no sense. So it's either shocking to the point that it makes me laugh, or I'm just like, what just happened?
Yeah. For me, there is a slight distinction for WTF deaths. Usually it's like at a moment where I'm not quite expecting it. There are some exceptions, definitely, but I noticed that on our list, we had less deaths from, say, like Nightmare on Elm Street series, because Freddy is known for doing things over the top and in a ridiculous way.
And he's a fabricated, fantastical creature kind of a thing. So if he has a death in which he makes people, look like a cockroach, or...
It's expected.
It's expected. That's what Freddy does.
Yeah. So sorry, Freddy.
Yeah.
Because you are predictably WTF.
Because you get carte blanche to do whatever you want, you can't be in this.
You might not be on this list as much.
You might not.
Might not. We're not sure yet.
Sure.
Yeah. Not sure yet. We haven't gone over the list.
Yeah.
But there might be some other big heavy hitter slasher
other franchises that might be in this list.
Yes. Let's go.
All right. Number 10.
Number 10
is from Friday the 13th. Number 5, A New Beginning.
Good old Jason and crew. After what is arguably the best movie in the franchise, Friday the 13th 4.
Yeah. I thought you meant this is Tony's favorite.
It's one of my favorite, but not because it's a good movie, because I love to laugh at this movie. It's akin to watching the movie Dumb and Dumber.
I admit that I had not seen this one until Tony introduced it to me a couple years ago. And I was like, oh, this is pretty good. It is akin to the horror version of Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah, this is what you would call a guilty pleasure.
Yeah, if Harry and Lloyd were like orphans in a little camp somewhere.
So we have a group of orphans, and they are together at...
I don't know if they're orphans or just like wayward kids.
They're the wayward teens.
It's like the school for wayward teens / 20-something-year-olds. So our number 10 spot is the lovable, lovably annoying Joey, who has his face just like constantly covered in chocolate around the corners of his mouth.
Want a chocolate bar? Here, you want it? I'll give you half, but I need half for later.
Piss off.
Oh, please let me help you. It's really no problem.
Oh, Joey!
I feel bad for this guy.
Joey.
The character is just written in such a actually pretty offensive way.
Pretty offensive. But he has a good heart. He goes up to like the meathead guy who's chopping wood. Just so
And this guy's unhinged.
Totally unhinged.
You know, to be perfectly honest with you, I never really chopped wood before, but it certainly looks like fun. Leave me alone! Here, Vic, want a bite? Here, I'll just put it over here. And later on, when you're hungry, you can have it.
And poor Joey's thinking, I'm going to connect with him. I'm going to give him something that I love, like chocolate. An unhinged guy is just like, get away.
Oh, boy.
And then Joey's like, fine, I'm out of here. And the minute he turns his back, plunge.
Never turn your back to a man wielding an axe, especially one as unhinged as this guy. He must have been roiding.
Yeah.
I don't know what was the deal with this guy.
Who put him in this camp of wayward teens?
He was definitely wayward because he was mentally disturbed.
But I mean, I kind of feel like this guy should not have been around anyone, let alone be allowed to wield an axe.
They're trying to rehabilitate.
Who gave this guy that job? He should be in the kitchen.
They're like, he's got a lot of energy he has to expel. And sometimes exercise is the best way to get out your pent up emotions and, traumas and all that.
So send him on a golf court and collect golf balls. Don't give him an axe.
It's not that kind of camp where they're not the country club.
They're not the country club.
Yeah.
They can't play golf.
It's a labor camp. So, they're like, let's let him blow off some steam, chop some wood, but also don't give the crazy guy an axe.
Yeah. Yeah. There could have been many a job at this camp. Some people were like folding laundry.
Yeah.
That sounds peaceful.
And for those of you who have seen this movie, it ends up being such a huge plot point twist reveal.
Joey was important.
But, we won't get into that. I don't think we should spoil that.
No, we'll leave that one alone. All right.
All right. Number 9, we have from the movie Critters in 1986, the character of Steve Elliott, played by the one and only Billy Zane.
This is a great meal, Mrs. Brown.
For those who have seen this movie, you know exactly what we're talking about. You're talking about full critter, chompy chomp chomp.
Full what?
Chompy chomp chomp.
Full critter?
Full critter to the, yeah.
He was very polite at dinner. And it was the daughter who was just like, I want to go to the barn and do you?
Yeah, let's just shack up in the barn.
And Billy Zane actually seemed kind of hesitant. He's like, oh, I don't know. I'm trying to be polite and eat your mom's dinner. She's like, no, I'm down. Let's go now with my little tape deck.
Yes.
And so they go. And I think he goes to change the song on the tape and he gets his fingers bitten off immediately.
Yeah, those critters are hungry.
That was the part that was shocking to me. I was just like, oh, his fingers are gone. Poor guy. Poor Billy.
And his girlfriend tries to stab one of the critters with a pitchfork, and that gets eaten. So
Yeah,
those critters
they're
are
hungry.
bad news.
They're hungry.
So
little guys.
bad news that they have to be chased down by intergalactic bounty hunters.
They were cool. I
Man,
like
what a
them.
great movie.
Yeah.
And a lovable moment. One of the most, probably one of the best moments of Billy Zane's career, if we want to be honest here.
Forget you, Titanic. Billy Zane as the boyfriend who dies in the first 10 minutes of Critters.
Exactly.
Congrats.
A lot of big stars got their start in Critters.
Congrats.
Leo got his start in Critters. I think it was 3, maybe 4, one of those.
Oh, I think it was 3 where they're in the apartment complex.
Yeah.
Is that where they're in the apartment
Yep.
complex?
No breaks. That's
No
right.
breaks. That was a good one too.
Okay. Number 8. One of my favorite characters in one of my favorite movies that we've already talked about. It already is the second installment of this movie in our list. So are we heavily biased? Yes. It is from Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. And it is the character of Demon, played by Miguel Nunez Jr.
You gonna get it, bitch.
Oh, lighten up, Demon. You'll feel a lot better after you shit.
I feel a lot better when I'm out of here. This shit box is gross.
One of Tony's favorite characters of all
Such a
time.
great character. I think he is just one of those memorable 80s horror actors because he also played Spider in Return of the Living Dead. Yeah. Great role. Very similar to Demon's character. It's kind of like the punk rock guy.
Similar names too. Demon, Spider.
Yeah, he's got the coolest names.
Cool names.
Yeah. Well, anyways, Demon, what makes his death so WTF and ridiculous? It's not like a thing that just happens out of nowhere. It's sort of a build up and the whole scenario.
Process. It's like a scene that I would say lasts at least 10 minutes.
It's whoever wrote this scene must have been just extremely high.
I imagine they wrote it at like 3 a.m. and they're giggling the whole time.
I think they wrote it. It's sort of like they wrote a little bit of their own life into the scene.
Like they had enchiladas this night and they're like, oh, this sucks.
Yeah. So basically Demon, he lives in a van, #van life.
Van life.
And his little brother is visiting him. Mm-hmm. He's got his girl in the van as well.
Yeah.
And, he's got his little brother coming over. So he's cooking up enchiladas and quesadillas, pizza. He's got it all.
Yeah.
And so, naturally some microwave enchiladas.
You're in a van, so he probably doesn't have proper storage for these things. So I imagine the enchiladas went bad. He probably had them in that van for at least 2 days.
Yes.
He's like, well, now my brother's here, so I'll bust these out.
He ends up with a bad stomach. He's on the shitter and sadly meets his doom. But not after getting a little lullaby, little sing.
That's what I think is so
song.
sweet about this scene. See, I didn't immediately think of this scene as a WTF because I actually think it's kind of sad. I think it's kind of like sweet and tragic that he's in the porta potty and his girl's on the outside. She's singing to him. At first, she's making fun of him.
Yeah.
He's like, hey, you cool it. Because this is serious. I'm having a bad time here and you're laughing. And so she sings to him.
Ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
Ooh, baby, ooh, baby. Ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby.
Ooh, baby, ooh, baby.
And he's like, okay, this is helping. This is helping. So he starts singing too.
Yeah.
And then her singing stops and he's like, hello, are you still out there? Hey girl, are you still out there?
And then bam, he gets it.
And I just think that's so sad. To me, it's like one of the most tragic deaths because who wants to be slayed on the crapper?
Yeah,
it's embarrassing. And you are you going to be able to what would you do? Would you pull your pants up really fast? Would you just panic and leave them down? What would you do?
I don't know. You just dead.
You just take it.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't die immediately. Like first the sticks go through and he's like, oh no.
Yeah. Poor Demon.
Poor Demon. See, I don't know. Yeah. This is definitely a WTF, like what just happened.
Yeah. The whole premise of it is ridiculous.
But to me, it's like the most tragic death on this list.
So, maybe it should have ended up on our gut-wrenching death list.
Maybe so.
Maybe part 2 of gut-wrenching
Honorable
deaths.
mention, gut-wrenching death.
The thing is, we make these lists and then we think of more later. So there's
always room for growth.
The top 10 is not set in
Not
stone.
solidified,
No.
no.
I think except for our number one, which you'll have to listen on the end.
That
I
might
feel
be-
like that
will
is
stay at
widely
number one.
known as the number one WTF
Well, I don't
death
know.
in horror.
I don't know though. We'll see when we get
We'll see when we get there. Yeah.
Okay.
You gotta watch to the end.
So number 6 and 7, it's actually a tie.
Ooh.
So I will say 1 and I'll let you divulge the other. So one of these is in Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 and 2. I believe it's in 1. If you've seen 2, then you know that like basically number 2 rehashes everything that happened in number 1.
Mhm. So you don't even need to watch number 1. Just watch number 2.
You know, I think number 1 might have been the better movie quality wise.
Yes.
But number 2 is very iconic with Ricky the killer.
Yeah.
This is in Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, and I believe also in number 1. And it is Santa. But
Wait, it's not the guy who gets killed through his trash can, the garbage day victim?
I mean, that is kind of so iconic, WTF. But I think because I knew that was coming because of, internet.
Yeah, so damn it, the internet spoiled our list.
Ruined it.
This
so-
really should have been on the list, but it missed the list because
I already knew it was coming.
Exactly.
I didn't put it on the list because it wasn't shocking to me. This one, however, was because it's some guy, some nice do-gooder dressed as Santa. And we find out in a throwaway line, it's old man Kelsey, poor deaf bastard.
And so what's going on? Explain the scene.
So Santa is walking over to this elementary school or something, like this Catholic school. There are nuns running around and little kids everywhere screaming, having fun, throwing snowballs. And Santa's coming because it's getting close to Christmas. And Santa comes over and reaches his hand out to, I don't know, say hi to young Ricky.
Don't take another step, I'll shoot! Billy! Get out of it! Get away from it! Billy!
And the cops pop out of nowhere. They're like, don't take another step. And they don't give Santa enough time to react and they blow him away.
Well,
in
Santa
front
can't
of-
react because he's deaf. Yeah.
As we find out later in the throwaway line.
Yeah, but they blow him away in front of the
in front of
kids.
these little kids.
Yeah.
So of course Ricky's traumatized.
It's just so ridiculous because here you have this poor old man dressed up as Santa and this renegade cop who's not really doing any due diligence to find out if this is a killer Santa or just any old Santa.
No, but he's getting close to that little kid, gotta blow him away. Not even like a leg shot. They shoot him in the back 6 times.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Pretty crazy.
To blow away Santa in front of a bunch of kids.
And nuns. And the next scene, the cop is talking to the nun, and she's like, "That was the janitor, old man Kelsey." And the
So
cop
sad.
is so nonchalant. He's like, "Well, there is a killer out there still." Like he doesn't even care.
So sad. So
Just
sad.
blow
I
away
think
this
maybe that's one of the
janitor.
reasons why this movie was so controversial when it came out.
Because they killed old man Kelsey.
They killed Santa Claus.
They killed Santa and a janitor who was moonlighting as Santa.
But the death scene in Silent Night, Deadly Night 1 that is kind of controversial or well known is when the guy is on the sled, coming down the sled and gets chopped with an axe and his head is completely decapitated.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that one. Oh,
However,
list number 2.
yeah, the Santa stuck out more to us just because you're popping a cap in Santa
Yeah.
right in front of all these kids.
These rogue cops.
Yes. But this scene in Silent Night Deadly 1 might have inspired the next scene that I'm about to talk about. And it's once again from our favorite movie of WTF. It's just a WTF movie, actually. Yeah. It's, again, Friday the 13th 5, A New Beginning.
Yeah.
And it's the character of Junior. The maniacal motorcyclist who is trying to, I don't know what he's doing. He's just riding around cackling.
No, he's screaming. Someone just like punched him in the face. He's got like a bloody nose. He's like, they hit me, mama.
And mama's like, come and get your stew. Come on, I'm making supper. And he's just riding along cackling, and like a really long scene of him just...
No, he's not cackling. He's screaming.
Oh, yeah.
He's just like,
Well, it's like a psychotic scream. And he meets a similar fate to the person who's riding the sled in Silent Night, Deadly Night 1.
Right. Yeah, after 8 full minutes of riding in a circle screaming.
He drives right into a cleaver. It's not a machete. It's a meat cleaver. And he's riding so fast on his motorcycle that it chops his head clean off. Yes.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like we came up with this list while watching Friday the 13th 5.
I don't think we did.
They still hold up. Anyways, what I wanted to say before we got to the next one was that all of the first 5 movies happen to come from movies that were made in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that, is worth mentioning that thank you 80s horror for allowing some just completely ridiculous moments in them.
Yeah. I think that is actually one of the reasons I started getting into horror films, is because I was watching a lot of these 80s horror films that were scary, but also really funny. And I think for a kid, you want to be scared and you want to laugh.
Because in the 70s, I feel like a lot of horror movies in the 70s, there are some that are just truly horrifying.
Scary, yeah.
And the effects maybe weren't, or there wasn't like this effect craze. So there probably was more of shying away from showing the actual scenes. Thank you, 80s, for providing us with I think the 80s was just a WTF decade.
Yeah, it was the heyday.
It was the heyday.
Hey decade.
Yeah, the style, the hair, the movies, the stories. Maybe it was because everyone was on drugs.
They're all on drugs?
Yeah, they're on cocaine or something.
All right, number 5 is from 2009's Saw 6.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so yes.
I have trouble remembering what happened in each of the Saws because they play out basically one after the other, and then they cross.
Especially the first 3 or 4
storylines.
The first 3 are happening around the same timeline wise, and it gets confusing, like, okay, what happened in which one?
Yeah, and by 6 the writers must have run out of scenarios. They put these characters through the ringer.
Yeah, at first Jigsaw had reasons for each person that he made play his games. I was like, oh well, you were a drug addict and you have to learn how to find your way, and like all that makes sense. And then he kind of he
lost his way.
Reasonings become very loose.
He does have a brain tumor, so you got to give him some credit.
Yeah. Well, also
he's getting loopy on the drugs.
Because he's terminal. He's like, oh, well, I got to quickly find some more fast. I'm running out of time here. And so our number 5 goes to Hank the janitor in Saw 6.
While only 52 years of age, this man has continued to smoke even though he has a history of high blood pressure and heart disease. This demonstrates very little appreciation for the blessings of his own life.
And the reasoning behind why poor Hank the janitor is in this terrible game is because he's a smoker.
He doesn't appreciate his life because he has chosen to smoke despite the fact having lung cancer.
And diabetes. And I'm like, you're punishing this poor guy that earns minimum wage? And he has to blow off his steam somehow, so he smokes.
Jigsaw, he's running out of people to put into his traps. But, we later learned that this actually isn't Jigsaw's trap. It's the next guy, the apprentice's trap. So
really,
the reasonings are flimsy at best.
Is that during this one or is that during a later one?
Well, I think it's just revealed the more the timelines go down. At a certain point when Jigsaw becomes sick, his traps become...
His minions he's delegating work to his minions.
Yeah.
I don't know. I kind of feel like it was Jigsaw that put Hank in this trap. And then afterwards he's like, oh, I'm losing my steam. Here, Amanda and Strom, you guys take over.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I was just like really offended for this janitor.
It was, especially, I think it's like in the opening scene of the movie.
It's not the opening, actually. No, it's when the main guy who's going through this labyrinth, he's like an insurance. It is Jigsaw because Jigsaw's pissed at this insurance adjuster guy for not giving him appropriate medical coverage. And so he wants to punish this, head honcho at this insurance company. And so the head honcho has to go through this labyrinth and choose who lives or dies. And so he has to choose between some lady with kids and this poor janitor. I'm just like, okay, well, the fact that this janitor is even there, that's not fair. I was really upset for him.
Sorry, Hank. You just got caught in the wake.
He was stressed. He had to smoke.
Yeah. He was just looking for an excuse to get an extra break, the smoker's break.
Oh, that's it. He was a time thief.
Yeah, he was a time. Yes.
So that's
lying on his time card.
That's his flaw, is that he was a time thief. He was trying to leave work to go on a smoke break.
Yeah, exactly. Jigsaw caught him.
Yeah, caught you.
Number 4 is from the movie Final Destination 2, which I'm glad finally made our list because this one is full of ridiculous deaths. But in our opinion, the most ridiculous of deaths in the entire Final Destination franchise is Alex Browning, the main character played by Devon Sawa.
Yeah, the main character from Final D1. And this is not even a gory death.
It's not
impressive.
Not even filmed. It's off camera.
My friends are dead. That's how I can say that. And this is what happened to Alex when I was responsible for him.
It's got one piece of film. It's one Polaroid.
So it's
one frame.
It's always interesting when writers, producers of movies have to deal with a character that has decided not to come back for a sequel. And if we were to make this list about most ridiculous deaths of characters that were kind of just written off in like not just horror movies but like TV episodes, it would be something like in Family Matters when the daughter goes to her room and never comes back.
And stays up there. Yeah.
Or in Sliders where Wade gets sent to
Poor Wade gets replaced by the hot lady and she gets sent to like a sex camp. Yeah. But off camera. We never see her again.
Pretty sad. And so Alex Browning, played by Devon Sawa, suffers a similar fate where it's like he survives the whole first movie. Yeah. And in the second movie, they're like, well, death eventually caught up with him. A brick fell on his head and he died. Here's the Polaroid. Here's his friend.
Allie Larder has a Polaroid.
Instead of helping him,
Devon Sawa.
She is snapping pictures.
Well, they are on vacation. I think they're in Paris at this point, right? And so it's like she has a camera.
They were having a great time in Paris. I think they were there for a few months and they were like, yes, we cheated death. We did it. We lived. We survived.
At the end of the first one, and the 3 survivors in the first one go to Paris. And they're like, we did it. We went on an airplane. We took that plane, that fateful plane, and conquered our fears. And then I guess, after the credits roll in number 1, little do we know that Devon turns around the corner and gets pelted in the head with a brick.
And there's Allie to take the Polaroid.
She's like, I need proof. I need to remember this.
Yeah. So, what WTF is going on there, writers?
Yeah. WTF Allie. What were you thinking?
I should mention that a lot of the other. So Final Destination is a movie just like Nightmare on Elm Street, where every single death is ridiculous. So it's expected.
Yeah, because every death is so ridiculous. Of course, the least ridiculous one is going to be ridiculous because of that.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, if you get hit by a brick off camera, that's ridiculous for that movie.
For that movie, yeah.
That
that's why that one gets in the top spot of WTF Deaths.
Yeah. And number 3, we are jumping to the 70s.
Oh, our first movie from the 70s.
Movie from the 70s. And it is from Dawn of the Dead, 1978's Dawn of the Dead. And there are some elements to this movie that are kind of ridiculous. Like, like the zombies are blue. Very unique stylistic choice.
Yes, they are gray, but the lighting caused them to become blue.
Okay, Tony's a big fan. This is Tony's favorite movie, by the way.
Yes.
Ever. So he knows a lot about it. But when I saw it, the thing that was most striking to me was the scene when all the hooligan bikers are trying to take over the mall. And they're just wreaking havoc and stealing money in this time where money is obsolete. Stuff. They're stealing jewelry off
stealing
zombies.
TVs.
Yeah, they're taking TVs. And one guy goes, "What are you going to do with that?" And the guy's like, "I don't know." And he smashes it on the ground. Good point. And then there's one guy in a sombrero. And I'm glad he's wearing this sombrero because he's easily identifiable later on. And the sombrero guy later goes up to one of those arm pressure machines.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Those are irresistible.
So
if you've ever been inside of a Walgreens or CVS, you know exactly what we're talking about.
What my blood pressure is.
Oh, yeah.
Why? Are you going to remember it? No.
I had so much fun with those as a kid. That's always what I would just beeline straight for the arm pressure.
I never knew what the results meant. I just wanted to feel that pressure on my arms. It seemed fun. And this biker guy, he's like, "Oh, I'm longing for those days when I could go get my blood pressure taken." So he tries it at one point, and I think some guy heckles him and makes him feel bad.
Some guy's like, "Hey, man, what are you doing? Come on."
He's like, "Yeah, there are zombies around. Come on." And so he leaves.
Like, stop fooling around.
He leaves. But he comes back when the horde intensifies. It's like the pinnacle of horde mayhem. And he goes straight for the blood pressure machine.
And of course, you can guess what happens.
Second.
He's immediately consumed by a horde of zombies where his arm gets ripped off, but his arm that's inside of the
it's still
the machine
its pressure taken.
Yeah. It makes for a pretty comedic moment.
Yeah, but I remember that scene was just so chuckle worthy because I'm like, why?
I wonder if that's in the Argento cut. I wonder if that's one of the scenes that Argento's like, "Nope, this is stupid. Get this out of here."
Hey, what are you thinking, Romero?
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Love that guy. Anyway, so he has to be our number 3.
Yeah. I think you can see why this movie and why Friday the 13th Part 5 happen to be some of my favorite movies. Mm-hmm. It's because they have this cartoony nature to them.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm looking for in a horror movie.
You want cartoons.
Want cartoons, yes.
Yeah. Saturday morning horror cartoons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Now we are left with 2. And WTF, what 2 could be even more WTF and ridiculous than Armband Guy?
What's more ridiculous than a guy in a sombrero trying to take his blood pressure in a zombie apocalypse?
I think number 2 is widely known by horror fans as being one of the most WTF moments in horror cinema.
Yeah, this is another one that was like tragic to me. It's funny and shocking, but also very sad.
And this one comes from 1989. And once again, it's from our buddy Jason in Friday the 13th, Part 8. Yeah. Jason Takes Manhattan. Mm-hmm. For all of you horror fans out there, you probably know exactly what I'm going to say. And it's the character Julius who decides, "You know what? I'm done with this Jason guy. I'm just not
running anymore.
I'm a pretty big athletic guy. I'm just going to try to take Jason on one-on-one."
Yeah. He's a boxer.
These are combos keep the feet light. This is it.
So they're up on the rooftop and he's, making his final stand,
To be
boxing
fair,
him. He gets in a couple hits.
There's like nowhere for him to go. He's on a rooftop and Jason shows up. And so he's like, all right, this is
Fight or flight.
I'm going to do it. And I really applaud him for having the bravery and gumption to take on this like giant burly dude in a hockey mask.
And he does sneak in a couple hits, before getting uppercutted. And of course, his head just flies completely off.
Just pops off.
A clean cut uppercut, Mortal Kombat style. I don't even think there was any blood. I think it was just a head.
Clean and swift, and his head just pops off and, I don't know, careens off the building.
Take your best shot. Motherfucker.
Yeah, that'll teach you to try to fight back versus Jason.
Though, he had no other option. That's why I think this scene is actually really sad, because he's like the only person that didn't panic in the face of Jason. And he bravely stood up to him. To what end? Nothing. Dead.
Sorry, Julius. Yeah.
Yeah.
At least you tried.
But I know when I first saw this,
it was just so shocking.
Tony, I think, was like watching me to see my reaction. I could tell he's like watching me. And I was just like, what?
And I'm just laughing.
Poor Julius.
Yeah.
All right. Number one.
All right. Number one. We finally reached our number one of our top 10 WTF deaths.
I was just giggling the whole time making this list.
This one, I know I can make a very strong argument that this one is...
Hold on. So, number one, when we were making our list separately, our top 10 separately, and then we combined it, both of us had the same number one.
This is a unanimous number one decision.
Between two people.
Which is, why we get a lot of ties, because there's only two people voting.
There's just two of us.
That's why there's a lot of ties.
We've seen all the same movies mostly.
Yeah, that's true.
So it comes from 1981's Halloween 2.
And I think you know what we're talking about. We're looking at you, Ben.
Now, slow down. What? All the day. Look. Is that him? I don't know. Get back. Run. Go on, run. Move it. Get back. Get back, you kids. Run. Move it. Stop. Get out of it. Move it. Stop. 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 Sure cracking. He came out of nowhere. I couldn't stop. Is it him? Is it him or not?
Ben Tramer, Laurie Strode's crush.
Poor guy just happens to have the hot costume that year. Everyone apparently went to the same hardware store and got the same ambiguous mask. Is he wearing a jumpsuit? He's wearing a blue jumpsuit. Wow, okay. So he shops where Michael shops at a hardware store for Halloween. And that's the thing, you know, if you happen to, that's, you know, when you go out for Halloween and you picked out your Halloween costume and someone happens to have the same exact Halloween costume, you're like, no, damn it. Shucks. It ruins my costume. Then you go moping around down the street. You're like, oh, well, I'm just going to go trick or treating anyways. I'm some high school student. It's so cute because he actually has like a bag. He's got a bag full of candy. He has like a little bucket of candy and he's just like walking around. He's jaywalking. That's his problem. Well, because I think someone's following him. I think there's like a cop in like the background following him. So he's walking kind of fast. He scuttles across the street. And here come these renegade cops. Yeah, it's speeding down a residential street and plows right into Ben Tramer.
he explodes.
Yes, plowing right into Ben Tramer and ends in a fiery explosion. The sad ending to Ben Tramer.
And I think
Laurie Strode's crush.
The cops and Donald Pleasance are like, oh, we got him. We think we got him. I want an autopsy. And no one ever acknowledges that, like, oh, poor Ben. They're just like, oh, shoot, we didn't get Michael.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't care that they killed Ben.
So sad, so tragic, so pointless.
Yeah, and now Laurie has to go to prom by herself.
It's, yeah, Halloween 2, you know, there's a reason why a lot of the franchises choose to skip over certain Halloween movies.
Did they skip over Halloween 2?
Well, you know, in the reboot, it just goes, it's like, let's just pretend that Halloween 2 through whatever don't exist. We're just going to skip those. So there's Halloween 1 is the original Halloween.
I mean, I think a lot of people love Halloween 2. They're like, oh, Halloween 1 and 2, and that's it. For me, I'm like Halloween 1, and that's it. And Halloween 3. I love Halloween 3.
So in my Halloween timeline, Ben Tramer survives.
He survives and saves the day.
He doesn't get plowed into.
He takes
up.
Laurie to prom because her hair looks good in number 2.
Yeah.
It's blown out. She's got a lot of makeup on. She looks good.
Well, she had all that time in the hospital to figure that out.
She's bored, so she's doing her makeup. Yeah. Poor Ben. Anyway, so that's it. That is our top 10 WTF deaths from horror films.
Please, we want to hear if you agree with us. Yeah. What are your top 10 WTF deaths in horror?
Or at least your top 2. Give us your top 1.
Yeah.
We want to
Do you agree with us about Ben Tramer? Is he the most ridiculous and unnecessary kill in a horror franchise?
Why were they going 80 in a residential zone?
It was pure bedlam there in Haddonfield that year.
It was kind of bedlam.
Okay, and as always, we do want to mention a couple of honorable mentions. They're always fun.
We have some honorable mentions that didn't quite make the cut. Honorable mention for me is also from Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. And it was when Ricky is walking around the streets and he has a gun and he shoots a red car in the distance twice. It flips over and then explodes.
Bingo!
But I just like explosions.
And Garbage Day didn't make it.
Garbage Day didn't make it. Again, that's expected, you know.
I think you just like explosions.
I love explosions because they're shocking. And it's like the biggest fanfare you can possibly have for the ending to a character.
Well, then speaking of explosions, my honorable mention is from the movie Dusk Till Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
Scotty.
Yeah, Scotty.
The younger brother.
Yeah.
He is being attacked by the ghouls of the Titty Twister.
Yeah.
And he knows it's his end, and he's just like telling his sister, like, Juliette Lewis, he's like, kill me. And she doesn't want to do it, but she holds the gun up and she shoots him and he blows up. And when it happens, it's just like like, whoa, okay, that was pretty crazy. Yeah.
There's no chance he's coming back.
So I always thought that was quite ridiculous.
Yeah. I think it didn't quite make the cut because in Tarantino movies or Robert Rodriguez movies, things are a little ridiculous. And so.
Yeah.
But that one was shocking because you're just like, oh. They blew up this kid. Poor Scotty.
All right. Well, that was our list. And please let us know if you agree with us. If you have any WTF deaths that you want to add to our list, feel free to message us on Instagram or email us at guttedhorrorpodcast@gmail.com. And if you like what you heard, go ahead and give us a like, a comment, a subscribe, a follow, any of that stuff.
Anything.
Yes, let us know. Thank you for watching and or listening. This has been another episode of Gutted.
Bye.